Greetings, my Israelite brothers and sisters, heirs, joint heirs, adopted, grafted, natural, spiritual, however you may come. We hope and pray that this live video catches you all well. I call this MultiTopics for this live car cam because there's just several things that I wanted to cover. How you doing, Miss B? Hope everything's well with you. I want to thank you, Miss B, for tuning in on Friday nights for a Bible study. I noticed that you're there and just wanted to take a moment, being that I saw you come in, and just say hello. So I want to cover a couple topics here. How you doing, Faith and Hope? Long time. Haven't seen you in the channel for a while, but glad to see you back over. How you doing? Finest Hebrew. I think I'm saying that right. How you doing, Biblical T? How you doing, Sister Veronica? Great. Hope everybody's doing well. So, I want to cover a couple things. You all know I never do politics on this channel, but I'm gonna cover it. I'm gonna cover just a few minutes because I think I'm gonna hang with you all for about 30 minutes on this one. Not on this subject, but I'm gonna spend about 10 minutes on this subject. So I've been watching this election. I missed the debates. This election is very important to watch, and the reason why I've taken an interest in it for two reasons. Number one, politics has always been an interest of mine. Religion and politics is the two subjects that I discuss much than anything, and of course, being that I came into the truth and the knowledge of who we are, it's always that subject, and knowing how to get to the kingdom has been my primary subject of discussion and preference. But I am watching the election because when you understand prophecy, you'll find that you have to watch it in order to understand what's going on. And the more that you understand the scriptures, the more you can watch politics and see the pieces moving. Now, let me just say this and make a disclaimer. I'm not one that looks and tries to tie in every president with prophecy. I don't do that. I remember one time somebody took the word Ronald Wilson Reagan, and they say, you see, Ronald is 6 letters, Wilson is 6 letters, Reagan is 6 letters. So you see, he's a 666. He's a mark of the beast. I don't do that. I don't subscribe to that. I just don't, neither do I entertain it. I don't entertain it. Things have to be, nowadays, it has to be biblically sound. And I used to listen to that and be entertained by it, but when you know the scriptures, you're not easily entertained or taking interest in those little small theories and coincidences. That's what I call them, coincidences. It has to be factual and scriptural. But let me just go back to this election and what's going on. I'm not a prophet. I'm not going to say, the Lord told me and the Most High told me. I'm not doing that. But what I will tell you, that it's very obvious that Trump is going to win the 2020 election for several reasons. One is that when you watch the Mueller report and how it seems to be obvious that the Russians are going to be involved with our election again, that it's prophetic in terms that Russia has to get its house in order. And one thing that Russia is doing is what the United States has done for many years in order to maintain themselves as a world stronghold, a world political power, and that is to meddle in other elections. And if you don't meddle in other people's elections or have the means to, then you can't control your power. By controlling who's in office, you can control how much power you gain over that specified time. So obvious, since Trump has got into office, Russia has been able to gain, as well as China, has been able to gain various strongholds. And these things are prophecy, irregardless of who's in office, that Russia has to, and the Medes and the Persians has to gain themselves in power. So when you watch that, it's very interesting. And it's very interesting that certain statements can be made to basically confirm what you know is going to happen or has to happen. And so let's discuss what has to happen. Russia has to get its house in order. Russia, China, and Turkey is that 200 million army that they talk about. Whether it's an actual physical army or collectively of people, who knows, or forces or system, it's Russia, China, and Turkey. So you can see certain things taking place where, for instance, I will say, and it wasn't because of prophecy, but I told you that the United States was not going to be able to do anything with the Venezuelan sitting president because Russia and China and Turkey are there. They're involved. And so therefore, the threats that they made, if Russia did not feel comfortable with themselves being in the position that they are on a world platform, they would not have ever, number one, sent troops there. Number two, China would have never loaned them the money. And number three, Turkey would not have continued to process their gold. So we all know that Venezuela is rich with the minerals and oil, like Africa is. It's not something that's talked about, but they are. They do have those resources. Although they have, the United States was the buyer because they were on this side of the hemisphere and they kind of controlled it. Now they're saying to Russia, you're on this side of the hemisphere. But notice nobody told America, hey, you're on that side of the hemisphere. Russia is taking the United States' playbook, and this is what they're doing. So is China. So Russia becomes the physical threat, meaning that we're going to show up, and China becomes the financial. I know I got, that wasn't because of anything. That was only because I went underneath the bridge and I lost signal. So I'm back. So Russia and China and Turkey are working hand in hand. They're working together. And so you find that happen. Then you got the European Union with a change of guards. They're going to have this guy, Boris Johnson, who is going to now seem to be taking the place to be the, whatever his position is, I can't think of it, but, and he is going to be a little bit more forceful in breaking away from the European Union, and which has to happen. England, it cannot be a part of it. They do not fit one of file to be part of the European Union, and they have to be a part of that conflict. So, yes, the Prime Minister of UK. Thank you, Rodney. So You can see things by knowing the script. You can see things kind of taking hold and things kind of maneuvering themselves. The pieces on the chessboard are moving around to put everything in place so that everything can kind of unfold the way it has to unfold. And so, let me get back to Venezuela. When this thing broke out, I covered it, I talked about it, and I told people, nothing's going to happen to that president. Russia is there, and when they said, hey, you see what's going to happen, and it was sad that the United States did that, because they flexed a muscle that they cannot, based upon biblical scripture, they cannot carry out what they say that they're going to do. And you're best not saying anything. You're best not even getting involved when you get into that situation, because you start to be weak and it makes us vulnerable. I will tell you that the United States is not a key player in the prophecy. Is the United States going to be affected? Yes, absolutely. But this thing is all dealing with the European Union, and it's going to be dealing with the east and the west side of the Euphrates River when the east crossovers into the western part of the European Union. The United States is going to have so much stuff going on domestically, whether it's because of Mother Nature, walls being built, and issues internally going on. It's not going to be able to go over there and be a major player. Let me just put it to you that way. It's just not going to happen. And don't let the economy fool you. The economy doing well right now could mean that this is why the lawmakers are not going to want to get involved, because if the economy in the United States is doing well, why do we want to go over and meddle in somebody else's business? But just because the economy is going well doesn't mean that there's not going to be other social issues that we see today going on. And we see a lot of polarization happening. And the United States is not going to want to go over there and get involved because they got too much stuff going on. You know, it's like in anything. When you got too much going on in your own house, in your own backyard, you're not worried about somebody else's front yard. So, getting back to Venezuela, when the Secretary of State and those individuals says, hey, we're going to do this and we're going to do that, those threats maybe 5 years ago may have worked. But if you notice, the United States never made the threat first. They struck first. That's how they've always done it. But you're dealing with different players now. You're dealing with an old mentality going backward. You're dealing with a group of individuals who are in an era of time that they're used to making threats, and people would just run. And so that's the generation of the individuals that you're dealing with that are in Trump's era. The older white males, and I'm not saying that to be to make a racial statement. I'm just saying the older white males, one of their tactics has always been was to make a threat. And people would say, okay, I'm out of here. They said they were going to do this or they were going to do that. But that's not working with this generation and these different countries now. they will make you carry out your threat. And what Russia did when Turkey went over there and started saying, well, we're going to refine the gold. So, and China's like holding out their hand. You need to pay us our money because you don't have it. And now this guy, Gaudio, he's gone. Nobody knows where he's at. I mean, he's like a low-key player right now. And Maduro didn't do anything. He didn't even put the guy under arrest. He did nothing. He let the guy continue to say, hey, try to get up enough people to take me out. And so this all happened back when? January, February? We're in July. It's soon to be August tomorrow. Nothing's happened. The man is still in charge. So that has to happen. And I knew it back in January and February. And like I said it, and not because I'm a prophet. It's just I read the scriptures. Okay, so it wasn't like, okay, the Spirit told me. I'm not one to say that. But when you read the Bible and you know what you know, you just say it. And so I knew Russia and China's president it was like, if you read the Bible, it's common sense. Oh man, you just flexing your muscles because them people you ain't gonna be able to do nothing to them right now. And it's just like, that's what's happening right now. And so that's on Venezuela. When you look at the hearings dealing with Mueller, he says Russia will be involved in our 2020 election. And I'm telling you, that's what's going to happen. I'm not coming from a prophetic standpoint at all. Well, yes, I'm reading prophecy, but what I'm telling you, that's what's going to win the election. It's just that simple. I'm watching it tonight. I'm going to watch the debates. One of the telltale signs is, come on, the Democrats has what, 15, 20 people running? Some of the people that are running are not in the debates because they don't have the money and they don't quite qualify yet. But there's a lot of people running for president on the Democratic side. And the Democrats, they're used to, let me tell you something about people and racism. Now let's talk about racism. Switching topics now. Racism. There are going to be a lot of people who are Democrats voting for Donald Trump. They're not going to have a bumper sticker on their car. They're not going to wear a t-shirt that says "Make America Great Again" or a hat that says "Make America Great Again." They're not going to do it. And the reason why I can tell you this is because you got Republicans that are not calling Donald Trump out on the comments that he is making. You got Democrats who are saying that's a racist statement. But now, check this out. If the Democrats were making those same statements, they would not deem them. Don't get it twisted. Some of these same people on CNN and they all like that and says, nobody's calling him out. So you got some players on the stage like that guy named Al somebody. I don't know his name. I know his name, but Al somebody. I don't need to say his last name. They're sitting there with a group of other majorities and who are saying, hey, why aren't the Republicans calling this guy out what it is? But let me just tell you, those same comments have been made on this side of the fence, okay? And nobody ever said nothing, okay? Nobody said anything when there was a war on crime. Nobody said nothing. And there were laws that adversely affected the minorities. And it was called the predatory crimes, that's the crime bills, okay? Joe Biden wrote the crime bill, and I'm not saying I'm anti-Joe Biden or pro-Joe Biden. but I'm just simply making something plain. He wrote the crime bill. Hillary pushed it. Okay? A lot of people in jail right now for using a small crack pipe, 5-10 years sentence. And there are people who are using today crystal methane, and it's a health issue. Okay? So don't get it twisted. It depends on who does. And because the Democrats want to be reelected, now they're going to call it out. And don't fall for it. And I'm not saying that the statements are not racist. I'm simply saying the laws that were passed before by this party that is calling the president out, their laws was racist. They affect one group of people. That's it. I have to tell you exactly the way it is. It only affected one group of people. But now you got the same thing going on right now. You got methane going on right now. You got the painkiller drug going on right now. And now it's a health issue. Health issue. No, it's a drug issue. You got people up in the New Hampshire, Martha's Vineyard, all up in the northeastern states. You got rich kids who are overdosing, dying by the day. By the day, they are dying, overdosing. And you don't find no raids going on those sellers. You don't find it. Nobody's raiding. And you know why? Because it's an over-the-counter prescription. Anybody can get it. That's it. Kids are robbing their parents, stealing the cars and everything. They're just overdosing. And nobody's making it a crime issue, health issue. Well, let me tell you, it was a health. If you don't think crack is a health issue, it's a health issue. To the neighborhoods. And these kids, it was a chemical dependent drug. And nobody made it a health issue. And let me tell you something. Insurance, health insurance. Some of these kids' parents have health insurance. And if you look at the commercials that says, hey, do you have an addiction? We have this house. We can put you here. We can get you back on track. You know who's paying for that? Health insurance. You know who's paying for the rates? You and I. Because somebody's paying for it. So, we got some serious issues going on in America. Now we're going to go over there and try to fight other people's wars? No. So that's why Russia is able to do what they do. China's able to go around loaning people money. China is setting up shop so much in Africa, loaning those African presidents so much money, it's beyond your imagination. The only thing that, listen, you cannot loan Africa money and then threaten Africa because they don't pay you on time. Now that's going to be a conflict. So I think they just going to work it out. But China's loaning all these people in the South America money. It's beyond me. But it's just one of those things that has to happen. So prophetically, we have a race issue in America. We really do. We have a race issue. And be careful that every statement that is being made, because somebody else says it's a racist statement, that you look at it as a racist statement. Look at the individuals who are calling it a racist statement. And what you have now and I'm just going to be plain with you. You got white America calling out a white America. You have a divide. You have a divide in the elite. You have a divide in the majority group right now. You have a divide. And that is what scares me. That is what scares me right now. Okay? As an African American, I have never been surprised if an individual of other color don't like me. Okay? You're just not surprised. If it happens, you're not surprised. And some people will say, well, wait a minute. In 2019, we're going through this? Listen. Come on, really? Why would you even put a year on it? The Most High says nobody's going to redeem you from this. So I don't even know why people even surprised about that. And I'm not saying you got a racist, we live in a racist society. We don't, but you got people who are politically in power who are going to make everything a racist statement. And that's just the way it is. But I'm like, you got the pot calling the kettle black. The same people are Democrats who had no respect for the black voters or the Hispanic voters or the poor majority voters or white voters, had no respect, had none whatsoever, because they figured the numbers are so low, there's no respect. But now, because there's a need, and when you need somebody, you'll reach out for anybody. Okay? And to beat Trump, they really are reaching out for anybody, because Trump has woken up a base, and that base is woke and dealing with a psychological issue, and they may think it but not ever say it. So therefore, he's waking up that base. And then, believe it or not, there are a lot of people there are a lot of black conservatives that are supporting Trump. A lot of black conservatives. And you'd be surprised. And don't ever think that individuals who are your ball players, they're never, ever going to vote Democratic. They're like the white Democrats who are going to vote Republican, but not let you know. Those elite millionaires, the Oprahs, the T.D. Jakes, I'm telling you who they are. In fact, there was an article in one of the mainstream magazines, and it says blacks who you would not suspect as being Republicans, registered Republicans, but they'll never tell you who they're voting for. They don't even mention it. Because the Republicans believe in less government and less tax on the wealthy. They believe in getting revenue from other types of sources, dealing from a consumer standpoint. Is how they like to get their money. So, but yeah, you have a lot of black conservatives who are black conservatives and not going to even tell you. So I'm like you, Sister Tia. She says, I'm voting for the Messiah. Let me tell you something. You know, I told some people in the congregation that there was going to be a spiritual coup. And a spiritual the attempt was to happen in Venezuela when you got somebody who says, but there's going to be a spiritual coup. When you read Isaiah and when you read the book of Psalms, I think it's 110th chapter in the book of Psalms, maybe 112th chapter in the book of Psalms, it says when the Almighty returns, kings, he's going to take over kings and kingdoms. He's not asking, can he take over? He's taking over. He's taking over. There's no asking when the Messiah returns. Can I sit on the throne of David? Can y'all make some room, Israel? You think he's going to be asking that? No, he's not asking. He's taking. The Bible says that the heavens is going to roll back like a scroll, and the sun is not going is going to be darkened. The moon is going to reduce its lights, and the heavens are going to roll back. When the Almighty returns, let me tell you something. He's not asking. There's no Congress. There's not going to be a United Nations. The Almighty is not going to come back and say, I want to have a meeting with the International Council. No. Zechariah said it's going to be one Lord, one law. That's it, people. That's it. That's the way it's going to happen. And he doesn't care. And there's no voting, by the way. There's no democracy. There's no voting. There's no council meetings, right? There's not going to be a Senate hearing. There's not going to be a judicial hearing and a House of Representatives and a parliament. No. Think the Lord going to, no. There's only one law. This is the way it is. Whoever don't come up from one feast to the next and one Sabbath to the next is going to be cut off. Your water will, listen, I like the scripture says they will have no water, no rain. You know how they send you a notice and they'll say, hey, you didn't pay your water bill. No, ain't gonna be no notice. You don't come up, whatever nation, whatever group don't come up, you know what, okay, you know what, just cut out the water until they get the message. No, seriously. When you read that in the scriptures, people don't understand what's going to happen. It's right there. It's black and white. All the prophets said the same thing. Ezekiel says the same thing. I tried to figure out this water thing, and so I took some time to study it. And in the book of Ezekiel, he talks about that when Jerusalem is going to be set up and the Messiah is sitting on the throne, there's going to be a hinder part and a hinder part of this water. And when it goes down on each side, how everything is nicely flourished. And there's going to be trees that bears all manner of fruit 7 times a year. This is awesome. Or 7 times a month. I can't remember which one. But let me tell you something. That is some very vibrant, mineralized water that will keep you alive, living for a long time. Okay, a baby will be 100 years old. Come on, listen. There's not going to be a health issue. Satan is going to be bound. A lion and a lamb can sit down. A leopard and a lamb can sit down and eat hay together. Okay, so that's what we're getting to. That's what we're going to be in, and that's where it's going to get to. So I'm like you, Sister T. I don't get into the voting thing. And some people say, well, you know, your vote's got to count. Let me tell you something. This thing has already been called. It's already been done. If Trump is waking up a base that is a machine that if every minority came out and voted, it still ain't gonna matter. Because the issue is you're gonna have Democrats who are gonna vote for Trump and never have a bumper sticker or a MAGA hat on their car. And will look at you in the face and, oh, that guy Trump, he's terrible. You know how some of us probably did. I don't like Obama, but first one sitting at the polls voting for Obama. And I'm not saying I'm pro-Obama, anti-Obama. I'm just simply making a statement. If you were on a job and if the minority list was short and few, and when Obama was running, people didn't really come out and say that they were going to vote for Obama. You know, you was almost afraid to say it. You wasn't for sure. Even when he became popular, you wasn't for sure. And Obama knows he didn't win off the black vote. He won. He won off of the social vote. He won just getting young people. That's how he won. So just like you didn't say nothing and you act like you was uncertain. Well, I don't know who I'm vote for Obama just because he's black. You know, come on. But then you was in line making that vote. There are people who are Democrats who are of the majority race who are not saying anything about Trump. They're very silent. I know who's going to vote for Trump. The people that they either talk a lot against Trump or the people don't say nothing. It's some in-between people who they say, I'm a Democrat, I'm voting for Democrat. I'm going to see who we're going to get. Let's say, if they don't call out a Biden or anybody like that, pretty much they're going to be voting for Trump. But he's supposed to win. He has to, so that Russia can be allowed to get order. And think about it. In 22, 23, 24, a lot is going to transpire. And you're going to see Bible prophecy just unfold. This is why I don't have time to be dealing with these Hebrews that don't want to learn the plan to salvation. Everybody wants to jump into culture. This is what we're supposed to wear. Arguing with each other. Now I'm going to talk about us Hebrews, because I'm a Hebrew, I can do it. Okay? It's nonsense. Arguing about what name. You ain't never been to Hebrew. You're not going to learn Hebrew. And if that's the pinnacle of your Hebrewism, then you're going to be lost, because only a remnant is going to be saved anyway. Okay? So if you're putting all your emphasis on the language and on the culture, and this is the way you do this and this is the way you do that, and you don't know nothing about the feast days. I mean nothing. Somebody can ask you, why does the Passover come before the Feast of Unleavened Bread? Well, this way the Most High outlined it. No. You better have a better reason than that. The Most High put it in His Word. You arguing whether or not you're supposed to stay in a tent or a hut. Come on. Come on, Hebrews. Y'all got this thing all mixed up. Arguing over little bitty stuff among each other. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. And let me just say this. We are Christians. Hebrew Christians. Don't let nobody take that word from you. The first Christians were Hebrews. Just because somebody tainted the word, Christian simply means that you accept and believe in the Messiah. You don't believe in the Messiah and you're a Hebrew, you ain't no different from a Romish Christian. You're going to go to the lake of fire. If you don't accept this Messiah that's going to return and sit on the throne of David, you're going straight to the lake of fire. You can be Hebrew and change your name and speak in all of the Hebrew Yiddish that you want to. It ain't going to happen. So let me just make that straight, Hebrews. Okay? Somebody asked me the other day, say, are you a Messianic Hebrew? I'm like, you're not? You know, a Messianic, in other words, you believe in the New Testament. You believe in the Messiah. If you don't believe in the Messiah and that He has come and He's coming back again, and you're saying you're a Hebrew, I'm really staying away from you. No, I'm not going to stay away from you. I'm really not, because I don't do my brothers like that. I don't do anybody like that just because you don't believe the way I believe. But all I'm telling you is that we can talk about that issue 24 hours a day, and I'm going to bring out the word. That's why right now I have learned to tell you what's going to happen without reading the New Testament. I can show you everything. I can show you the plan to salvation, repentance, and forgiveness in Genesis to Malachi without even opening up the New Testament. And I thank the Most High for that, because He told me that this is what you need to learn how to do. The Apostle Peter and the Apostle Paul, they wrote letters, but those brothers were teaching from the scriptures. You're just reading the letters that they wrote, and you've made that the Bible. Can't do that. What we need to learn how to do is teach from the scriptures, from the prophets, that this Messiah is going to return and the slain of the Lord is going to be many, And he's going to come, and how he's going to come, when he's going to come, and it's not going to be pretty. The prophets can tell you that without even opening up the book of Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Acts, Romans, 1st, 2nd Corinthians, and so forth. So this is the level that I want to help our people go to. It's time out for this foolishness. It really is. So we're going to really get on base. If you're going to tune into this channel, I'm telling you the level of quality of the word and the scriptures that we're going to get into. I'm not going to be getting into this. Some people, the new subject right now is community living. Community living. And how do you do that? Let me tell y'all something. You can't even take care of one wife. How you going to try to take care of two? Really? I didn't mean to go down that street, but sometimes us Hebrews will make us go down there. Really, we need to stop this. We need to stop. We really need to stop. We need to concentrate on what the Almighty, if you're into this, if you're coming into the truth, you one of these young men that wants to jump into the truth that I'm a Hebrew now, and how many wives, if how many wives you can have is the biggest thought that's on your mind and not avoiding the lake of fire, then you in this for the wrong reason. You are going to fulfill prophecy, because he says there's going to be a lot of Hebrews. Only a remnant of the remnant is going to get that. So you're just fulfilling prophecy. And don't be a prophecy fulfiller by jumping into this for the wrong reason. Don't do it. You won't even make it through the wilderness. Trust me, you won't make it through the wilderness. And if you look how Israel was a microcosm of the world today, a lot of Hebrews did not make it out of the wilderness. A lot. Don't be in that number. Don't be in that number, Hebrews. Somebody said 2/3 has to go. I don't want to be, I want to be in the third. Don't listen. Don't get in this for the wrong reason, because you want to see how many wives you can have. You can play that role if you want to. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't get into this thing for the wrong reason. You're going to have yourself a big problem. You're just going to be a statistic. You're going to be some coal because Israel first. He said, let judgment begin at the house of God. Read Ezekiel, the 9th chapter. He told that man with when he was given a prophecy of what's going to happen in the future, the one with the writer's inkhorn, he said, go and mark those and start in the house of God. That's what he told him. Start in the house. This ain't no time. If you're reading the scriptures and watching the news, it will be enough to scare you to get your life straight. I remember they used to have a program called Scare Straight, and they used to take the kids to the jail and let them see what's going on so they can scare them straight. Let me tell you something. Read that Bible, watch the news, and trust me, you will be scared straight. You'll know exactly what's going to go. And when you know what's going to go on and you can watch the news and see it unfold, you'll be like, oh my goodness, how can this happen? Right on point. I'm telling you, right on point. So I hope that I didn't take up too much time. 45 minutes, that's a long time. So I got to stop here. So let me just say hello to Veronica, Biblical Tea, Faith and Hope, Lady Sandy. Let me see. Miss B. Rodney, Kelly, Faith and Hope. Now, Rodney, Veronica, when y'all know when I start looking at that fine print, my eyes start to get blurry. But anyway, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for the thumbs up. I know I haven't done this and gone raw like this in a while, but I had to do that. Sister Tia, thank you for the information that you always send me. Y'all check out her channel. Thank you for the information you always send me. Peace. We'll talk soon.